Our text for today begins as our service this morning began, in the dark. It begins with a woman grieving. The light of the world has been laid in a tomb, and it seems for a moment like the darkness has won. Mary Magdalene is up before the pale blue of the early stages of dawn peek over the horizon. She walks as one weighted down with grief. But still she walks with purpose, because she has a job to do. Her teacher, her healer, the one who freed her from the 7 demons that had plagued her before, is dead. But Mary remains steadfast, even in death. Her hope may have taken a beating, but her love remains strong. She is determined to do one last act of kindness to care for her teacher. She will see that his body, which was hastily stowed away for Passover, is properly tended. And so she walks with determination. But when she reaches the tomb, she finds a problem. And it's not the problem that she had expected to encounter. The stone has been removed from the entrance. And that does remove the obstacle that she expected. But it also brings a new problem. Evidently, the indignities of Friday were not enough. Someone now has come and disturbed his grave. And Mary is deeply troubled because she has a job to do and she is determined to see it done, no matter the cost. So she runs to get help from the people closest to Jesus, the ones who are most likely to help her find him. The men come running. They see the empty tomb, and after taking a moment to contemplate, they walk away. They return to the house where they were staying with the other disciples with the doors locked, afraid that the authorities will come for them next. It's a smart move based on the evidence they have. All the evidence says that the darkness has overcome the light, that those who followed the light are in danger of being the next victims. But even so, Mary stays behind. She cannot bear to leave Jesus uncared for, even in what she believes is death. So she stays, and not knowing where to look for Jesus, she begins to weep. Woman, why are you crying? It might be easier to answer why Mary is not crying. There are many reasons for her tears. She is grieving the death of a friend and a teacher. She is grieving the future restored world that now seems impossible in these moments before dawn. She is mentally and physically exhausted and got up before first light to do one last job in service to her teacher, one last act of love for him, and she cannot find him to finish it. She does not yet know that Jesus has found her. That as first light spills over creation, the light of the world that the darkness could never overcome is standing looking at her and asking this question. And so with her vision blurred by tears, not really looking at the man, she asks Jesus himself where he might be found. Jesus once said that his sheep know his voice, and all it takes for Mary is hearing her name. One sweet word that he has spoken many times. And she opens her eyes to see who really stands before her. And suddenly, every bad thing, every reason that she had to weep in sorrow becomes untrue. The darkness didn't win after all. The light of the world is very much alive and in front of her. Rome may have wielded the power of death, but Jesus carried in him the power of life. And even death and darkness could not conquer that. Mary does what any of us would do. She clings to Jesus. She was faithful to care for her teacher, even when all common sense said that it was pointless. She walked out into the darkness to remain faithful in action when her heart had little left to believe in, and now her reasons for hope and belief have been restored. The light has returned, and she doesn't want to let him go, even for a second. But Mary came to do a job for Jesus. Just not the one that she had anticipated when she got up in the dark. Instead, as dawn comes, Jesus sends her to spread the light, to be the first to spread the good news of the resurrection to the disciples where they still hide. Mary was faithful when everyone else was scattered and hiding. When it seemed like everything had gone irredeemably wrong, she stayed steadfast in her love and her desire to serve Jesus. When she learns that she had been wrong, that hope still remains, that Jesus is in fact alive, she is faithful then too. She goes out and finds the ones who are still grieving in secret and hiding in fear. She was faithful in the face of death, and in the light of life, she also remains faithful. And so she goes out and takes a message of life to those who are scattered and living in fear of death. She becomes the first evangelist, the apostle to the apostles, the one trusted to first testify to the truth of Easter, to let her scattered friends know that death could never overcome the creator of life. Like Mary, we have our own story to share. Our Bibles begin with a story about a brand new world that is teeming with life. A few chapters in, a problem arises. Death. Death casts its shadow across the rest of the Old Testament, just as it continues to cast its shadow across our lives today. We are fragile beings, and our fragility is terminal. We all share in the curse of death introduced in Genesis. But today, we celebrate that by taking on the curse of suffering and death, Jesus made a way for life to win in the end. Rulers and authorities of this world may wield the power of death for a time, but in the end, they will be subject to a far greater power. Jesus, in all of his kindness, joined us in our fragility for a time, taking on our suffering even to the point of death. But his story does not end in death. And because of that, neither does ours. Jesus is risen, giving us the promise of our own resurrections, when we will receive a life that is no longer fragile or finite. For a few days, it seemed to the disciples that death had won. Sometimes in our own lives, it can seem that way too. Today, may we join Mary in celebrating that because of Jesus, death will never have the last word. After sharing a few more stories of the resurrected Jesus appearing to his friends, John chapter 20 ends with these words. Jesus performed many other signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not recorded in this book. But these are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. Death no longer holds victory over us. It has lost its sting. Jesus lives, and in him so will we. If you would like to claim this life for yourself, to respond with belief in Jesus the Messiah, or to ask for the prayer of God's people, I invite you to come forward as we sing.